Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new webinar. We're here with Ruby Powers from Powers Law Group, and today we're going to talk about the Supreme Court ruling on birthright citizenship and what does this mean for you. So Ruby, she is a board-certified immigration and nationality attorney. She is licensed since 2008, and she founded the firm in November of 2009. So Ruby, the word is yours.
Thank you, Maria. So this has been very a hot topic for a lot of people and has been very concerning. So let's just run through a little bit of background and then where we are today. And at the time, we're at early July. We are July 10th. So this is when the information is up to date at the moment, 2025. So the background is that in the 14th Amendment from 1868 declares that all persons born or naturalized in the U.S. are citizens. And this principle is known as jus solis. I've talked about this in the past. So jus solis, the concept is from the soil, from the land, from that it's automatically, regardless of the parental status. Now, there's some exceptions, but like with diplomats, children, and some other like very minute exceptions. But for the most part, being born on the soil of the United States grants automatic citizenship, and it was upheld in the United States v. Wong Kim in 1898, where children born on U.S. soil to non-citizen parents are citizens. So back then in 1898, I don't know how many years that is, that's a long time. So it reinforces equality, no discrimination based on ancestry, and embodies the American exceptionalism rare among the world nations. This doesn't exist in, I don't know how many countries it actually exists in. Um, so so then fast forward from 1800s to 2025, just January 20th, Trump issued an executive order 14160 to rescind the birthright citizenship for children born to parents without citizenship or lawful permanent residency. So it applies if both parents are the mother is unlawfully present or on only temporarily here, and the father is not a citizen or LPR. But we'll definitely look, this is general information. This doesn't take the place of legal advice. So if this potentially applies to you, definitely have a consultation because there were some recent updates, and that's why we wanted to do this webinar. So it was supposed to be implemented immediately, but there was lawsuits, and then the Supreme Court came back, and we'll get to that in a second. And then it's supposed to be implemented after a 30-day delay, pretty much in the states that as of July 27, 2025, in the states that are not opposing it. So within days, at least four federal judges issued nationwide injunctions blocking the executive order. This is back in January, as likely unconstitutional. The suits filed by 22 state attorney generals, civil rights groups, and then they used that Wong Kim case from the 1800s. And then there was injunctions applied across all states. But then on June 27th, the Supreme Court ruled in a 6-3 decision in Trump v. CASA to limit the lower court's power to issue nationwide injunctions. So that was one of the biggest things about it. It was about the procedural ruling, and whether or not these lower courts' power could have over a nationwide. Now, this is really important because of the way immigration is federal. And so when one thinks that some of these decisions or these executive actions or orders are wrong, and so I'll just basic English here, then by doing these lawsuits, then at least it puts a pause all over. Because it gets really crazy when you have like I'm in Texas, I represent people all over the US and the world, and then you have to get down to like which state. Like this is federal, not state specific, but so this was a procedural ruling that did not decide the executive order's constitutionality. But the ruling means that executive order enforcement, the executive order, that's birthright one, may vary across states. So states without lawsuits, the implementation begins July 27th, which is just around the corner. In the states with active injunctions, citizenship remains unaffected. So parents face a two-tiered system depending on their location. So we have to figure out what's the parent's status, where's the child going to be born. So this all affects us after July 27th and beyond, and whether there's an injunction or not. So I think if I mean, just without, it probably would make sense if you are concerned and this could apply to you to have a child in a state that's actually has an injunction going on, so that so that you have that protection. We don't really know what's going to happen if a child is born in a state that doesn't have a lawsuit, and they'll get a birth certificate, but a birth certificate historically meant that had the citizenship of that country, but it doesn't necessarily mean that now, or won't mean that in the future. And so then this causes a whole nother set of problems and issues. The lower courts must now tailor injunctions to plaintiffs or certified class, decidedly swiftly on class certification. So this is more of a procedural thing. So that's the thing that a lot of people might not understand about this birthright citizenship decision. It was about like who can do what with these lawsuits, but then they didn't decide the constitutionality of the executive order specifically. Um, so essential for everyone to understand the 14th Amendment, recognize the national versus local rulings, and monitor these class actions. But also, it really depends on which state you're in, as well. So right now, citizenship depends on the state where the birth occurs, on July 27th and beyond. It's not automatic to receive U.S. citizenship, and state birth certificates may be, well, you're still going to need this. This is one of the biggest things, is the whole statelessness risk. What's going to happen? Is it possible? Yes, it is, that a person becomes stateless, as in they don't have a country of citizenship. Um, and we're used, as immigration attorneys, used to knowing that if you're born in another country doesn't mean you have the citizenship of that country. But that was always a given, that you had the citizenship here in the United States. So what's going to happen? Are they going to change the birth certificates? Are they going to say born here, but doesn't mean you have citizenship here? But they never really said that they had the citizenship of the U.S. It was just a given based off of the law. So I'm curious what's going to happen with when the issuing of birth certificates as well. Um, so there's going to probably be more lawsuits, or they need to file class lawsuits in the non-injunction states. Like Texas is a big state that's not going to fight it. So you're going to have to fight on your own, basically. Seek class certification for nationwide relief, and prepare appeals and legislative advocacy to get rid of this to fight these type of this issue. So right now we're trying to get the information out to our clients, and let them know what this could mean. Um, but it is a lot of uncertainty. I think probably if you are pregnant and about to give birth on July 27th, probably the best thing, if this applies to you because of status, is to go to a state that doesn't that is fighting for birthright citizenship, and not the ones that's covered under an injunction. That's probably the short version of what I'm saying here. But this is a very dynamic, constantly moving situation. So yeah, I mean, normally when we were trying to figure out citizenship, we would have to, if a person was born abroad, we'd have to get out our little chart and see, okay, were the parents married? What was the mom or the dad? What were the statuses of the parents? Whatever the gender of the parents. And I mean, there was how much time did the parents live in the United States before they left, or before the child was born? So there were so many different factors, but now this is going to take it to a whole nother level. But we're going to have to figure out what were the status of the parents, what state were they born in, when, and everything like that. So this is going to be very complicated, and I do foresee there being statelessness, which is definitely the move in the wrong direction. So keeping track of these documents, monitoring what's going on is important. Just don't assume citizenship is going to be guaranteed everywhere. Um, and there probably could be some birth registration delays because of just the states are trying to figure out what they're going to be doing. So, there's a lot of different policy and constitutional debate about this. And I think this is going to have a broader impact about access to certain benefits, and just like creating different levels of almost like citizens, if you will. And then there's also issues about fertility, assisted reproduction, And that is not clear as well. So when some of these things are done, they don't think about all the little details and how the sort of it takes a while for all of these things to shake out. So we'll continue to monitor to see what's going to happen, and it is definitely very fluid. This whole thing is fluid. So I'd say if this is a concern of yours, you can have a consultation, but the bottom line is certain states are more protected if they're doing injunctions and lawsuits than others. And the big day that this is supposed to go into effect is July 27th. So that's why we wanted to have this right now. You can reach us everywhere: Facebook, X, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram. We have a newsletter that comes out in English and Spanish every other week. And we have multiple attorneys speaking different languages. And so this is the Supreme Court ruling on birthright citizenship. Next week, we have defending against deportation with Cynthia Million, and we also have navigating the perm labor process. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Please share, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time.